Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tangle Time Arts. My name is Nana Herron, and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. And for this demo, we are doing our Tangle of the Week. This is like a bonus one, like an extra. We're going to look at Molygon basics. We're not going to focus on fragments or putting tangles within a tangle. We are just going to look at Molygon for Molygon. All right, you'll need your basic supplies, which is a black pen, and I'm using the Sakura Pigma Pen 05. It's one of my favorites. And you'll need a number 2 pencil and a tortillon. If you don't have a tortillon, you can use a cotton swab or even your finger. You'll need a white tile, or just a sketchbook or white computer paper, so that we can practice Molygon on. All right, let's get started. So I am gonna go straight to the black pen and start with our basic Molygon shape. Now, Molygon in its simplest form is all about the curves and the aura. And we're going to use those techniques to make kind of like rounded crescent moon shapes. So let's get started with a curve. So we have one C curve. And then we're just going to do another curve. And that's the basic Molygon shape. And it does look like a little crescent moon. So in order to add on more of them, so that we get a nice pattern going on our tile, I'm going to rotate and I'm going to make another one of these shapes. But I don't want to put it in a random spot like here or over here. We want them close together. So I'm rotating and I'm going to work off of the right-hand side here of each shape. So not touching it, but just a little above it, I'm going to put in another curve, another C shape. And I may be going halfway, not the full distance across here, but just halfway. And then once we have that curve in, we're just adding another curve. Now your little crescent moons can grow bigger or smaller. There's no real written rule about it. It's just following your intuition. And this is one of those kind of organic tangles that kind of flows. So don't overthink it. So still working on the right-hand side, a little away from our previous one. I'm going to put in another curve using that aura above it. And then I'm going to just draw in another C curve. I'm just filling these in, rotating, putting in more curves. Now this one's going to be a little smaller for me. And I'm just going to go all the way around, kind of in a circle. And this one's a little fatter. It's a little smaller. I'm just rotating, putting in a curve, another curve. And then here we're almost back to where we started. So we've gone all the way around with our curves. So here's where you have to then make a decision, because we want to add some more around. We've got all this white space here. So what we can do, I see some space here. So let's use that. Let's rotate a little bit around. I'm going to put in my curve a little bigger. Come out this way. And now maybe I want to go off of the left-hand side here. So we had previously always been going around the same way. We were going this way. So I'm going to go off of this left side here and make a curve. And then make another C curve. I'm going to rotate, still going off of the left one. Rotate a little more, and I can fit another one in here. So now we have our Molygon changing direction. And we could go and put in another one in there. Just going to put a small one in. That kind of finishes that off. So now I'm going to look at this and just see where maybe I would like to fit in more Molygon shapes. And I see this area here. And I'm just going to go and put a curve over that. And then another curve to finish off that Molygon shape. I'm going to rotate a little bit, and I'm going to work off of this left side. You might choose to go off of the right side. There's no right or wrong, but because of the spacing on my paper, I'm going to work off of the left. And I'm going to put a curve above that. So that's an aura. Rotating a little more. I'm going to put in my second curve. So it's always pairs of curves. And I think I'll come around here and do another one. Rotate a little more. And maybe now I want to go off of this side to add a little rotation to it. So I'm going to rotate so that it's easier for me to work on this side and come off of that side. I'm going to keep coming off of the right-hand side here. And rotating. And these are going to get smaller. So you can kind of control your curves a little bit also by the size of your Molygon shapes. I think that looks pretty good. Do I want to add one more? Maybe. Maybe I do, but I'm going to come off of the left-hand side now. Let's add a couple of them. Rotating left and right. It's going to be a small one and an even smaller one. So these are kind of stacked because we went left and right. Now I can look and find another space where I want to kind of dive off of. And there's a lot of options here We could go off of here and up into the corner, or we could come back here and go this way, or we could come off of this one. And I think I am actually going to come off of this one. So I'm over here on the left point, and I'm going to do the curve, the aura there. And then the second curve. Again, it's always pairs of curves. And then I'm going to keep coming off of the left. And I'm going to rotate and switch and come off of the right. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. It's just pairs of curves, and you have to kind of decide if you're going to focus on going off of the left-hand side or the right-hand side of your previous one. So I have something kind of like that. So it's very organic in that you can choose left or right, and you can kind of switch your curves up a little bit. And I think that's kind of a cool shape, but I'm going to add a little more coming off of here. So let's do this. We're just going to kind of straddle two of them to get our curve going. And I'm going to rotate. Yeah, I think I'm just going to finish this one off like this. All right, so I think I have enough filled in there with a really interesting shape. Just working in making those pairs of C curves and stacking these little crescent moon shapes together. It's almost like stacking bowls together. All right. Once you have as many Molygon shapes as you like, we can shade, but before we do that, I think I would like to aura around the entire shape. So the entire thing. So I'm just going to pick an area to start. And I think I want to start up here. So I'm going to rotate a little. And I'm just going to aura actually around the entire shapes that we just did. And that's going to kind of bring it together. For me, what's really interesting with Molygon is that no matter how many times I do it, it always turns out differently. And that's because it's so organic. I'm still doing one long continuous aura around the entire piece. There's a lot of rotating. All right, we're back to where we started. Now I'm going to put the cap on my pen and set that aside. And I'm going to take up my pencil. And we're just looking at each Molygon shape, so each little rounded crescent moon shape. And we're going to add some shading. So I'm going to start where we originally started, and we were going off. This was our original Molygon shape. This entire area went off of this one shape. And we were working on the right-hand side. So I'm going to put my graphite on the right-hand corners of these little crescent moon shapes, these little Molygon shapes. And I'm going to do that for this one too. But this one, I'm also going to add shading to the other side because these are all off of the left side. And this is just one way you can shade. If you want to shade both points of each and every Molygon shape, you can. Because there's no right or wrong way to shade. Now that I have these with a little bit of graphite on them, I'm going to, oh, I missed this one. Let's go back and get that one. I'm going to come back in and do the other side of this particular one because now we've got Molygons coming off of that on the left there. But then we've also got this here. So I tend to put my shading where there's a bunch of points coming together, if that makes sense. That's where I like to put my shading. So if I see points coming together, that's where I kind of like to put a little bit of graphite. And sometimes it's on one side, sometimes it's on both. And this one's going to get both. And I think this one will maybe get both too. Got 3 points right here, so they're going to get shading. But then these 3 come together, so they get shading. All right, so I think every single Molygon shape has a little bit of shading in it. And why don't we, to keep things simple, I'm going to take my tortillon and blend those out. Uh, I do want to do a little more shading, but we'll come back to that. So Since every one of our Molygon shapes has a little bit of graphite in it, we need to revisit each one and just blend that out. And this is always my favorite part because I find it so relaxing. I like hearing that little scratchiness. Add a little bit there with my tortillon. And you can do that. You can add graphite with just your tortillon if you feel like it. For example, this doesn't have any graphite right now, but with just my tortillon, I could add a little bit. All right. And you can see how different this looks from this that has not been blended yet. So we're not adding any little tangles into our Molygon shapes. We're not using them as fragments. We're just enjoying Molygon for Molygon. Molygon does take a little bit of practice, but once you get it, I think you'll enjoy using it to fill spaces, especially because it goes pretty quickly. All right, I think we have all of our Molygon shapes have some graphite in there, have some shading, and have been blended, I believe. And that looks really, really cool. But I'd like to add some graphite along the outside the aura that we did all the way around it. I'd like to add some graphite as well. I'm going in pretty dark on this. So with kind of a little bit of heaviness. I usually start out lighter, but I know because if you start light, you can always add more. What you can't do is really take away. But for this particular one, I know that I want it to be pretty dark. So I'm just taking my time and really adding a heavy layer of graphite all the way around. Add a little in there. So your project might look a little different from mine, and that's totally fine. Just follow your Molygon wherever it takes you. All right, so I'm going to get that first. And then I'm just really going to take my time and with little back and forth and circular motions, I am just blending this out. All right, let me just have this area in here. Yeah. So that's Molygon for Molygon. So we're just celebrating Molygon. And even though it's just those two curves to form the rounded crescent moon shape, and they're kind of stacked together, it combines to form these really cool organic shapes. And I never get the same result twice. I just never do. So even if I tried to do this again, it would look a little different. And it's always going to look a little different. And I've just had to learn to embrace that. That flowiness of it, that it's kind of a free spirit. If tangles can be free spirits, this one definitely is. And then combined with the shading, um, it doesn't need anything extra to it. So that's Molygon. That's just Molygon, our Molygon basics. And it's cool. It's really cool. All right, so let's fill out the back. I'm gonna put my name, and this is the 18th. And this was our Tangle of the Week. I'm gonna call this extra because it's like a bonus. So, and this goes with our second one, but it's definitely an extra. And it was Molygon by Zentangle. And it's just Molygon. There's nothing else added to it. It's just Molygon. And then we need to put our initials somewhere. So I think I'm going to just add mine off of here. Um, just kind of tucking mine in there. off of that, like that. All right, sweet. So that is our Molygon basics. It just takes a little practice. Take it slow. And each Molygon shape is just two C curves to form the rounded crescent moon shape. And then we keep making those crescent moon shapes. And remember to pick your side, either the left side or the right side. And you can switch it up. You can go several on the left and several on the right, or you can do every other one. You can make them bigger, you can make them smaller. So there's different ways to change the look of your Molygons. All right, I hope this helped everyone. Let me know what you think, and let me know if you like Molygon now, or maybe it's not one of your favorites. I like it, but it took a little while for me to grow to like it. But now that I do like it, I like it a lot. All right, you all are doing an amazing job, and I enjoy chatting with all of you, and I enjoy our time together. So if you're in the area where we're getting that Arctic blast, stay warm and stay cozy. All right, I love you guys. See you next time. Bye.